Welcome back, America. We're here with a mentor of mine, a man I've known, good God, how long has it been? Over 40 years. Dr. Larry Arnn, president of Hillsdale College. He's just a terrific thinker and writer and scholar. Dr. Arnn, it hasn't been a long time since Donald Trump has been inaugurated. It's not even 2 weeks by my calculation. But he's done an awful lot, and you're a man who looks at the scope of history, especially American history, and so I wanted your input right up front. How do you think he's doing?
Well, people love it or hate it. People think it's a really big thing, and I think it's a bigger thing than that. I think if you put it in context, you will see that our age, our century, our decades, it's a question what kind of country we're going to live in. Churchill liked to make the distinction, countries where governments own people and countries where people own governments. And that's the issue before the American people. There's been a revolution according to new ideas that started more than 100 years ago. And that revolution has moved, in 1930, 12% of the gross domestic product was in the government. Now it's a little over 50%. In 1930, 23 or 4% of the government was at the federal level. Now that's over 63%. And that means that we've moved money and resources and authority and sovereignty away from the people. And this last week is the most direct and coherent assault on that movement that I've ever seen. And it's consequential because when that kind of government began, the beginnings of it are in thought, or in the late 19th century, everywhere it has been planted, it has grown without interruption. And so can it be stopped? And it's the fundamental question. And turns out Donald Trump was saying a mouthful, and I think he might have been saying more even than he knew in 2016, drain the swamp. What does that take? Swamp is very powerful. And its claim is that we need professional standards and tenured officials and expertise in every decision that people make. And where does that end up? That ends up with people being told how to raise their children, and their children being treated in ways that will affect the rest of their lives, and that hidden from their parents. And then if the parents protest, the Justice Department comes after them. So I think that the dangers that America faces are fundamental, like the dangers in the American Revolution or the Civil War. And I think the decision that's pending is as fundamental as the decisions that were made in those two episodes, the most signal episodes in the whole history of America. So it's a very remarkable time. And I think Donald Trump likes to use superlatives, and he uses them more than I do. But I will say that if he achieves all this, just setting out to do it so coherently is itself a great achievement. If he actually does it, this will be remembered that the American people have done good for their country in this generation as much as the founding generation and as much as the Civil War generation. I think that's how serious this is.
Let me underscore your point. You're saying that what Donald Trump is trying to do is as significant as the two biggest events in American history, certainly two of them.
I've been saying for a decade, this is like the 1850s. The intensity of politics, the fierceness of it, the fundamental questions that are debated. And I think now that this is not so different from 1860. I think an attempt now has been, if he doesn't do anything else, the clarity with which Donald Trump is approaching this is defining. And see, I don't even mean this to be a partisan statement. In other words, the first thing to establish is this is a different kind of thing than the American Constitution. And if you can make the distinction between the two, and there are enormous efforts, academic and political, to obscure the difference. But if you can make the distinction, then the people can choose what kind of thing do they want. And that is what the politics of Donald Trump have revealed. And I think it's very beneficial. And I don't claim that I know how it's going to come out. I think it's going to be very difficult, fierce fight. You know, the Civil War generation and the American Revolution generation did not have a light and easy time.
Well, this is very profound, because you're saying what Donald Trump is doing is bigger than what most people realize. Let's explore that when we come back, because I think the American people voted this time and they understood, as a book I once read, that we're at the precipice here between liberty and tyranny, at a point at which we would not be able to return but for the election of this man. And what you seem to be saying is, that's right. And this man is off to a great start. I want to pursue that with you. We'll be right back.